Hi everyone. So for subunit 4.3, we were supposed to talk about our position statements, and I chose the position statement on early learning standards. And basically there were four main points to this position statement. The first stated that effective early learning standards emphasize significant developmentally appropriate content and outcomes. Basically, this means that all of the standards should be developmentally appropriate. They should incorporate cognitive, language, physical, social, and emotional standards. And all of those areas of development should be emphasized in the standards. The content and desired outcomes should be meaningful to the students and should be relatable to the students. They should not be standards that have nothing to do with where the child is developmentally at that point in their life. They should always be appropriate and comparable to their later learning and their well-being at that point. Early learning standards should not merely be scaled back versions of standards for older children. So basically, for early learning and young children, they should not be just scaled back versions of, like multiplication standards or things. That's just an example, something like that. They should be independent of those standards. They should be their own block of standards. There shouldn't be anything that's not appropriate for children at that age. Standards should accommodate and be flexible. They should form to a child's, language preferences or their cultural background. Students should never feel as though they're not being accommodated for. Students can understand when they feel out of the loop, so all standards should be flexible. Effective early learning standards are developed and reviewed through informed, inclusive processes. Basically, there should be multiple stakeholders are involved. The community members, families, early childhood educators, and special educators, and professional groups. They should all be involved in making these standards and forming these standards. They should be relevant and valid sources of expertise. They should be educators, people that are involved with students who have, education about students, who understand students' developmental aspects and areas. It is important that people who are educated in childhood development be involved in the creation of these standards. These standards should be reviewed on a regular basis. They should be up to date, they should be current, and they should be appropriate. Effective early learning standards are implemented and assessed in ways that support all young children's development. Basically, the curriculum, the teaching strategies, and classroom practices should all support standards by connecting with young children's interests and abilities to promote positive development and learning. This means that students should be able to relate to these standards. It should be something that is interesting to them, and teachers, that is their job to figure out what their classroom interests are and what the children want to learn about, and make those standards work with what the children want to learn. Children are going to be a lot more willing to learn what you want to teach them if they're interested in it. And the last point is effective early learning standards require a foundation of support for early childhood programs, professionals, and families. Evidence-based program standards and adequate resources for high-quality programs create environments in which standards can be implemented effectively. And standards have the most positive effects if they are accompanied by respectful family communication and support. It is important that teachers are involved with the parents, and the parents understand what is going on in the classroom, and there's an adequate level of communication at all times, and your classroom is going to run a lot more effectively. So that was my position statement on early learning standards. Thank you.